All righty, we're going to get started. It's now 7:22, and I call this meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Huffman Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We'll start with the invocation and our pledges. Please bow your heads with me. Dear God, thank you for allowing us to be here today. Please be with us as we make decisions for the district. Please help guide our thoughts. Also, be with our students, our faculty, our staff. Please, every day, lead them to and from school with safety and open their minds to learn. We ask you that you please look after our armed forces, our first responders, and help us to always keep them in mind. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. All right. All right, do we have any public comments? No public comments. Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. I have a motion.
I make the motion to adopt consent agenda.
I have a motion from Ms. Carrassi. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second from Ms. Sullivan. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor? All are in favor. Thank you. Okay, next we will move on to reports to the board. I'll start. We had great recognitions, good presentation. You say you learn something every day. I learned some more stuff today, so that was awesome. I'll review some board activities for the month. We had a legislative update to the Texas Education Code. Some of us went through that, and we had a budget subcommittee meeting. Anyone want to report on that? Anyone that was at that meeting?
Sure, we'll be discussing it a little later on.
Also, we had a construction subcommittee meeting, which our Dr. Skinner reported us on the bond projects that have been going on. I'm sure we'll hear some more about that later on in this meeting also. Huffman ISD Community Youth Engagement Committee. I wasn't on that one, so I can't report for that.
We started kicking off a committee between the youth organizations here in town and the district just to bring conversations together and trying to work together for everybody involved.
Awesome. All right. We had a called meeting this past week where we received our superintendent search applications, and we went through those as a board in closed session, and we'll be continuing that process in the coming weeks. We also had an academic subcommittee meeting the end of last week, and somebody want to report on that?
Sure. So we went over our beginning of the year testing results from MAP, and we got to review what it is that the parents are going to see with their report, and parents will receive their reports. One, if they came to the meetings, there were two different opportunities to come to a meeting. I'm trying to think of the exact name for it. It was
No tricks, just treats.
No tricks, just treats. So there was a night session available at Falcon Ridge, and then there was a morning session available here, which I attended. And if you RSVP'd, then you were able to put in your students and then come and get that data and have it explained by Dr. Perez. If not, if you didn't attend those sessions, we have parent conferences on the 31st, and parents and guardians will get that information from the students' teachers. So it was
A lot of information.
it was a lot of information, but it's really good. I'm really excited about
Awesome.
I'm really excited about this program and excited about the results that we're getting and that we have an accurate way to measure growth and achievement throughout the year.
Awesome. We also, this week, we have our CTE groundbreaking on Wednesday. So we're going to officially break ground on Wednesday. So anybody that wants to come to that is welcome. All right. That's all I have for board activities. I'm going to move on to the report of the Board of Trustees training hours for this year. I'm going to go through this as school board members must complete training that is required by the State Board of Education, and the board president must publicly announce whether each board member met his SBOE training requirements. Board members must receive continuing education training in the areas reflected in this table. So local district orientation, introduction to the Texas Education Code, school safety, evaluating and improving student outcomes, post-legislative update to the TEC, child abuse prevention, and team building. The following first-year board members have completed the local district orientation. Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Krasick, Mr. Terry, and Mr. Peer. Also, they completed the orientation to the Texas Education Code. Following board members completed post-legislative update, myself, Mr. Burt. The new board members were not required to do so, and Mr. Warren is scheduled to do his. The following board members have completed the annual team building training, Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Krasick, Mr. Terry, Mr. Peer, Mr. Warren, Mr. Burt, and myself. So we've all completed that. And the following board members have completed the additional continuing education requirements, Ms. Krasick and Mr. Burt. The following board members have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Krasick, Mr. Terry, Mr. Peer, Mr. Warren, myself, and Mr. Burt. And the following board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking. Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Krasick, Mr. Terry, Mr. Peer, Mr. Burt, and myself. Following board members have scheduled training to timely complete the biennial training. Mr. Warren. Following board members have completed the biennial training on school safety. Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Krasick, Mr. Terry, Mr. Peer, Mr. Burt, and myself. And Mr. Warren is scheduled to complete his. And board member Ms. Krasick exceeded the required amount continuing education by a whole 0.5 hours. Good job. You're going above and beyond. Thank you. That is the report on board training for the year. We have to do that once a year, and it is a lot to read. So sorry y'all had to listen to me do that. We will now move on to our Chief Officer of Academics and Student Services and our Interim Superintendent, Dr. Perez.
All right, good evening. As we begin tonight's meeting, I want to first recognize our incredible campus leaders in honor of National Principals Month. Our principals are simply fabulous. Their leadership, their dedication to our students, their unwavering commitment, and it's such a hard job. It's the hardest job, but it's also the most rewarding, and so we have a little token of appreciation for you. Dr. LaFuente couldn't be here. She's busy being a band mom, and I'll talk about that in here in a second, but if y'all just come up and
There better not be a picture. I swear.
They work so hard every single day, and like I said, it's literally the hardest job I ever had, but the most rewarding, and so I appreciate you all so much. Thank you. All right, speaking of Dr. LaFuente and the reason why she's not with us tonight, our Falcon Band and Color Guard performed at Area today. They did not advance, however, if you saw that band at the beginning of the year, and even just this last Friday at the game, the growth, it has been amazing. And so kudos to the leadership of our band And Mr. Weinbrenner, he has had such an infectious, positive attitude. I can't wait to see what he does next year. And so really kudos to all the kids. It's been amazing seeing the difference and hearing the difference. What they've accomplished in such a short time under new leadership is just really amazing. And so kudos to them and congratulations to them to a wonderful year. We've also officially closed out the first quarter of the school year, and it's been fast and furious. Like Ms. Karasik mentioned, we ended our BOI testing. We've hosted 2 events, MAP events for parents to come out because the data is only as good as those that use it. So we've been utilizing it as a district with our leaders and with our teachers. And tonight I'll be presenting a lot of specific information as to what that means for us right now. But it's also really important to empower students and parents with that information. And we had a better turnout at one of those nights than the other. I want to see more parents come out and get this information. The goal was to give them the information before parent-teacher conference so they were ready to ask some questions. However, what we'll do after the parent-teacher conference is open it up again to have a couple more sessions and hopefully get more and more parents involved because those that came and attended, they were very excited, showing them how they could utilize this at home and the resources that we have available to work with their students and support them. They were very eager and excited. So hopefully we'll see more of a turnout moving forward. Like Mr. Terry mentioned, we held our first Community Youth Engagement Committee, and that was really nice because we share the same kids. Our kids that are in our buildings are the kids that are participating in all the activities in the community, and so it's really important that we be aligned and working together. And so when we're scheduling things, some of the things we schedule interfere with some of those organizations and vice versa. So we've made a commitment to meet on a quarterly basis and to really, especially moving into that second semester, planning for the summer, to align our efforts and just be kind of on the same page as to when we're having big events so that we work together and not compete with one another. So super excited about that. It was really good conversations. We've had a busy month where we've met with Parent Roundtable, Student Advisory Committee, and Ministerial Alliance. One of the biggest things we've been working on this month is looking at our current survey and making sure that the survey questions are going to give us the feedback that we need in order to act upon it. So when I say feedback we need, it's not a pat on the back. It's let's ask questions that are going to give us some specific information about things we could do differently. And so I was pleased with, especially the students, how much good feedback they gave us on, hey, you might want to ask that this way, or this is what I'm thinking when you ask that. And so I hope everyone will see the difference in the survey when we send that out. Our goal is to send that out later this week. We have one more stakeholder group that we're going to meet with, and that's this Wednesday. We'll be meeting with DEIC. Those are about 40 staff members from all across the district who'll come in. They'll help us decide kind of how the questions should be asked, and so that way we can send those out. The other thing they're going to be working on Wednesday is the ever-elusive calendar. So our goal this year is next month in November to have an information item with the calendar, the 3 versions that'll go out for feedback, and then to hopefully adopt the 26-27 calendar in December, and then we can start setting the precedent to start adopting the calendar earlier in the year moving forward. I'm sure parents, staff members will all appreciate knowing that a little bit sooner. And lastly, we just have 3 events. I know we've mentioned a couple of them. We've got the Boo Bash tomorrow. Really excited about the engagement. Last week we were at 36 tables. What are we at? 44 tables. We're at 44 tables. So it's just a community event. Let's all come together and have a good time. So super excited. I hear there's some great themes and ideas going around for tomorrow. And then Wednesday, like President Dagley mentioned, we've got our groundbreaking ceremony. It's going to be really exciting. This building is literally going to exemplify what we've set out to do this year, which is about limitless possibilities for our students. And super excited to see that get started. And lastly is Friday's Parent-Teacher Conference Day. It always lands on Halloween. Interestingly enough, this year, what's new this year is the fact that it's not just for elementary. So every campus across the district will be engaging in Parent-Teacher Conference Day. And just excited to give parents the opportunity to get a feel for where their kids are, what our goals are for their kids, and then how we can, most importantly, support them in reaching their goals. And I believe that is all I have for our updates so far. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't turn that off.
I know.
Attendance.
Okay. I'm really excited about this. Actually, I'm kind of like, man, we should have never taken it off the balanced scorecard, because now we finally have hit the goal we had set for ourselves for so long. So in your packet, you'll see our first quarter attendance data. And just for reference, right now we're sitting at a 95.76. So I would like to round that up to a 96. That is a really good start. Not a single campus fell below 95, which typically that's not the case. For reference, on our balanced scorecard cycle 1, the 5-year goal was to hit 95, and we never hit that. So just knowing that we started off the year so strong and that we've superseded that, and it's setting the tone for what's to be expected. Of course, when you see numbers like that, you want to double, triple check, make sure it's accurate, and then you start asking yourself, why? Why did we hit that? So in looking at some of the things, I know for the high school in particular, that one is a huge celebration because it's a struggle at the high school. But I give kudos to Ms. McDonald and her leadership, because the exemption policy, I believe, has had a positive effect on that, as well as looking at students earning certain privileges and, the truancy, the fact that you've repurposed a staff member that among her duties is to help with truancy. And so not using it as an excuse that, high school is just hard to get kids to come to school. Seeing them hit 95% is amazing. Mm-hmm. And so now the challenge is we got to keep it. We know what an impact attendance can have, not only on student academics, but also the financial side of that. And just knowing that we started so strong just shows that it's possible. So kudos to everyone. And we'll be looking at some innovative ways that we can incentivize student attendance moving forward.
That's at 96%.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
All right, academic updates.
Awesome. So something that we're going to start moving forward is, we want to make sure that I know we handle a lot of business when we have our board meetings, but making sure that we keep the main thing, and our main thing is instruction, and making sure our students are getting the best of the best. And so something we're going to start doing is highlighting some of the things we're doing in the instructional world. And so I wish she was here tonight, because I've been singing her praises about some of the changes that she's implemented this year so far at HMS. And so last year, we were awarded the Texas Instructional Leadership Grant, and that is a grant that helps us look at our current practices from different lenses and helps you identify ways that you can improve the overall instruction on your campus. So one of the buckets, if you will, is school cultural routines. And Dr. LaFuente and her team realized that it's really important that kids, when they walk in that room, they have a strong start to their class period. And so her and her team developed a very specific protocol of expectations. They launched it a few weeks ago, and it has already yielded some amazing success. And even the students know that they are learning bell to bell. And so we asked Ms. Sparks, their instructional specialist, if she would indulge us in getting to observe and hear straight from her kind of what they've been working on. And so we've got this video for y'all this evening. So super excited of the work that they do. It's always hard to implement something after school year starts, but they did, and it's been successful. One of the ways, when you implement something, one of the ways that you make sure that what's happening, what you say is happening, is you inspect what you expect. And so when we've done some walks, on till walks, we have checked the last 5 minutes, we pop our heads into different hallways. Do we see kids moving around going to the restroom? And if so, well, then we need to address that, because once you let one slip, then it becomes a pattern. And so I was very, very impressed with HMS. They've stuck with it. They created a very clear protocol for every teacher to have. They've got things posted in their room to remind them. And it's gotten so much to where even the kids have noticed, okay, yeah, bell to bell, can't go to the restroom the first 5 or last 5 minutes. And so really excited about maximizing that time and making sure that it matters. There's a sense of urgency. When you come into the classroom, those 45 to 50 minutes are important, and you want to soak up every minute of it. I'm open to take any questions on their behalf.
Was that a legitimate transition?
Yeah.
That was amazing. The hallways look, I mean, it's night and day difference from even when we walked.
And that's a small one. Like I
But
went,
that's the 6th grade hall, and
Yeah.
remember, we also implemented the 6th
Yeah.
grade pod this year, so that has also helped with that too.
No, right.
Uh-huh.
But it's neat to see that some of those efforts are paying off, that the kids are able to get into class safely and timely and not worry about, the running or the sheer number of students in the hallway at a time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's, the construction, I mean, and it's not done yet, right?
Yeah.
So when
Right.
it's done, it's gonna be even better.
I love the 6th grade hall. I think that was a really important thing for them, because you're also learning how to be a middle school student. And finding a safe way to do that. And what I also love is, as soon as they come in, and I've been in a couple of classes, the kids are holding up their ID tag, because they want you to know that they have it. And so creating that, it's what it is, it's a school culture routine, creating that to where that's just how we do business here. And so, but the implications of something so small as that, and the amount of minutes you get back in instructional time, and then the message that you send to kids of like, what we do matters, so, yeah. I will be thinking about what we're gonna highlight next. There's so much to do, so super excited to highlight a lot of the things, but that was something we had walked specifically to look for, and it was definitely a celebration, so excited for that.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for including academic updates and us getting to see just those small little snippets of the work, all of the work that's going in. We know that it's happening, and it's so neat to just that small little clip. It means something.
Every little bit matters. Speaking of everything matters, we're gonna talk about the balanced scorecard priority 1. So this month I'll be doing priority 1, next month Miss Bailey will be doing priority 2. And so remember, this is the new cycle, this is cycle 2. And so I do have a presentation for you. The first slide is just reminding you of our balanced scorecard cycle 2. We have our 4 priorities: student, staff, community, and finance. And so this month, we'll be highlighting priority 1. And what I have for you in your packet, and I believe we put some copies out there, is the actual priority 1 with the updates for quarter 1. So we're really fortunate that several pieces of data we can report on. Moving in the future, we should fall in a good cadence where we should be able to report on every single one of these indicators. But as you know, our goal is to ensure that all students demonstrate continuous academic growth and achievement while being empowered to reach their full potential through personal and academic excellence, preparing them for success in any future endeavor. To the far right, you'll see our key strategic actions, which is strengthening our Tier 1 instruction, something that we focus on every single day. We are currently working on our math framework through our RB's grant. We are currently implementing our reading framework that was adopted last year. I'm hoping in the next 2 months, we'll be bringing a draft math framework out for you guys to review. We're continuing our Falcon 5 initiative. We met this morning to talk about personalized counseling, and I have that, I'll talk a little bit about that in the next couple slides. And then we're continuing to work on social emotional learning and refining our MTSS, which used to be called RTI efforts. All right, so on the first indicator, CCMR indicator, right now, this is a very rough baseline because EduThings has been, is the program where we house our CCMR data. It's been giving some, we've been having some issues being able to extract the data as it is intended to be extracted. So going into the beginning of this year, the juniors rotating into senior year, we started off the year with 37% of our current graduating class having already earned their CCMR point. Last year, we ended with 80%, and we are setting our goal to hit 82. So lots of things to look at that, look in there. We've got a lot of students participating in College Bridge, which is a college prep course. We have other students that can still take their TSIA, their SAT, their ACT, and earn their CCMR point that way, or take a upper level industry-based certification and earn it that way. So that's something that they continuously monitor, and our goal is set for 82. I do want to mention, possibly next month, I'll be bringing to you an information item regarding the changes in CCMR, because there are some big changes coming down the pipeline that we need to be proactive about now, so that way we are setting the foundation for students to be considered college or career ready, and that kind of starts in middle school. So we'll hopefully have some more information for you in November. All right, the second indicator is achievement, and it says all Huffman ISD campuses will improve the Domain 1 rating as measured by Texas Accountability Standards. So last year, our Domain 1 rating was a 73. We want to increase that by 2%, and a minimum of 2%. That would be us still earning a C in Domain 1 achievement. We know we want to be an A district, so we need to continuously grow there. But that number is going to be directly driven with the number below it, which is our other achievement indicator, and that is considering the percentage of students that are on or above grade level according to MAP. So this, I want to preface, that number is very low. It's 32%. And when we met as a subcommittee earlier, we set the standard locally at in Huffman ISD. We set the standard high because we can say the way MAP presents its data, it presents students in a quintile. So it takes the bell curve, and you've got your average, then you go one standard deviation each way, and then a second standard deviation each way. So you've got your top 20%, and then your bottom 20%. What MAP doesn't do is it doesn't say that at this number you are considered on grade level. That's left up as a local decision. So when we met and we really looked at our data, we wanted to make sure that when we communicate out to a parent or out to the community that a student is on grade level, that it's something that's irrefutable. It can't be something that, hey, you know what, we're saying they're on grade level, but come star time, and thus they can't pass a state assessment, or they're only projected at approaches. So what we determined to be on grade level is you are either at the 70th percentile compared to the norm, the national norm, or on the linking study from NWEA, you are projected at meets or above. So it's really important that that number, even though it's low, we don't want to change our standard of what we've set as being on grade level, because then we're just lowering a standard to just say that people are on grade level, when at the end of the day, it's not about a state assessment. Sure, we need to monitor that. It's about, can our students read, write, solve mathematical problems, be a critical thinker, and be successful outside of school, whether they choose to go to college or not. We've done an adequate job preparing them to be successful. So yes, that number is low, and I'm glad we set it at a 5% interval and not a 2% interval. I am very confident that this number will grow, but that is our baseline, and it's 32%. A third of our students, according to our standard that we have set, are at or above grade level. At above grade level, you are 85 percentile, or you are projected at masters. If you are projected at approaches, we do not consider you at grade level, and that is not a negative reflection of you or anyone else, other than this is where you're at, And based on our standard, we're gonna work very hard to get you to what we consider at grade level. And so that way, no matter where you go, you will be successful with grade level content. So I just want to make sure I explain that, and it says 32%. Student growth, we don't have that data, but we will starting in January, and we will always have it starting in January from here on out. And that is because MAP will generate your achievement score. It'll also generate a growth score. And so we want to make sure that that growth is in line or exceeding our achievement. We want to make sure all of our students are moving in a positive direction. And we talked at length with parents and then even with teachers as to what that looks like and how to set goals for students. So when anyone goes to a parent-teacher conference and a teacher has set a RIT score goal, which is the score they get on MAP, they have been instructed to set it at minimum 1 year's growth. So if they give you, they say your child, my goal is for them to grow 25 RIT score points, that can be a minimum of a year, and it can go up to 2 years, depending on what they're seeing in the data, what they're seeing, and what they're gonna work on with the students. So that is our standard. They will grow a minimum of 1 year, and that's the goals that we'll set. When you're looking at core completers, we will have more of this data going into MOI. You know, students can change their schedules from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. So moving into MOI, we'll have a better number as to what our current graduating class, the percentage of them that are on track to graduate core complete. We did set the goal for it to be an increase of 2%, so that should have us hovering around 9.6%. Industry-based certifications, CTE teachers have already met and set goals that are specific to their courses and their certifications. And we are anticipating to exceed the 135, particularly with our new drone course that is specifically for a new certification. So Ms. Kate Stubbs is very excited and thinks that we will grossly supersede the 135. So we will see. Discipline. I'm actually really excited about this indicator. So this is a new indicator for Balanced Scorecard. We're looking at the percent of students that are having repeat incidents that are resulting in repeat removals. So when you get removed, you're either out of school suspension or sometimes you're getting a placement. So currently, based on any assignments to DAEP beginning the first day of school, since this is a new indicator, we have not had a single student who was assigned DAEP since the start of the year that has gone back to campus and has committed yet another incident that has wound up back at DAEP. I know our counselors have been working very hard and our administrators at developing transition plans when the students are slated to return back to campus, making sure we have a plan of support, and we've been checking in on them weekly, and I want to attribute that to why we haven't had any repeat assignments for DAEP. But even when you look at the students with removals thus far, we only have 5 students with multiple removals, and that's multiple OSS, out of school suspension, when last year we ended at 75. So we're trending in a good direction. We'll definitely know things get fun and spicy in the middle of the year as it relates to discipline. So the restorative practices, trying to prevent some of those misbehaviors through counseling, through just checking in on some of our students that are repeat offenders, will hopefully keep that number in the direction, treading in the direction that we want it to go. But super excited that we have not yet had that. I'm going to go visit some of my friends that have been recently sent back to campus and make sure they make good choices. Extracurricular, this is a survey item, and so we will be launching our round 1 of survey. The goal is to launch it on Friday and go through next week. So I've asked Ms. Bailey if we can tag this on to next month's presentation and circle back and give you all some data for the student survey on the extracurricular, co-curricular programs. Chronic absenteeism, we are also, but it's in line with our attendance rate. We're also seeing a lower chronic absenteeism rate. We're at 8.8 for quarter 1. And so, but that's in line with our attendance. When your attendance goes up, your chronic absenteeism goes down. And so, again, this is a number that we did not see during the first cycle of balanced scorecards. So super excited to see that. And then student safety. This is a big one on the survey. We are rewording that survey item. We're going to be attacking student safety from two different angles. We're going to be looking at it from a safety standard as it relates to intruders. But then we're also going to look at it from a social, are you feeling socially safe, like that you have someone you can go to when on campus. And so we will be bringing that data in next month's presentation. So these are the indicators from the balanced scorecard. Before I jump into map data, are there any questions on any of these? All right. So I mentioned the 32% of our students being considered at or above grade level, and so I wanted to give a breakdown. On the top, you'll see this is for reading language arts. Our goal is to increase those by 5%, and you'll see by grade level where we are. And so we know that kindergarten is sitting at 39%. Kindergarten, I always take that with a grain of salt because they come in not really knowing how to be a student. So we see lots of gains in kindergarten. We've seen that historically, but that's where we are there. Particularly concerning is fourth grade. Fourth grade's been a concern, and so we're going to need to pump in some extra support there and making sure that those teachers understand how to dig into the map reports and identify the skills that are needed for students to move RIT bands. And so when we talk about RIT scores, we want kids moving in increments of 10 points, and it changes kind of their projections. Math continues to be a big concern. We did implement a new curriculum, and it is a very rigorous curriculum, so I'm hoping this is baseline data, and it's just baseline data. I'm hoping that by January we see a push. We do have some DLA testing that's starting next week, and so that data will also give us some early indication if we see a shift in math. Particularly at second grade, I wanted to kind of call that number out. At second grade in MAP, they start generating a proficiency, and so we didn't choose the 70th percentile, we chose the harder one. We chose it being projected at meets on STAR, and so that's why you see it dive quite a bit. Had we chosen the 70th percentile, that number would have been inflated, but for consistency, we wanted to use the proficiency starting in second grade. And then overall at the bottom, because this directly ties to domain 1, when we get our letter grade in domain 1 in achievement, you want to compile all that together and really look at it as a district. So as a district, in reading and math on MAP, we're sitting at 32%. 40% for reading, 24% for math. And that's our baseline. And then over to the right, I just kind of call out that at grade level, 70th percentile or projected meets. All right. So the beauty of MAP is it generates a projected proficiency. There's a correlation that's built in that it tells you if the student's RIT score is this, they're likely to score this on STAR, and that has a 95% confidence interval. What you see here on this screen is taking out the projection. So I wanted to make sure that our campus leaders had, if the students had taken it right now, and not assuming that they hit whatever projection the system has generated for them. So this is if they had taken their assessment, the STAR assessment, this was the time that they were taking it, and their RIT score, and it drew the line connecting them. This is what our approaches, meets, and masters would have been at. So when you look at math, we would have been at 66, 25, and 5. And then for reading, we would be at 76, 46, and 10. And science would be 63, 22, and 5. Biology did not take the assessment. They're only taking it at middle of year this year, but moving into next year, they'll take it 3 times a year. Really important to notice, this further highlights our systemic issue for math. And so, because on reading, if 76% of our kids are passing their STAR reading test, it's not a reading problem for math. And so that's where we're hoping that the structure of our new curriculum and the exposure And the high quality and the high rigor is what's really gonna close the gap, but we know that the gaps exist. So again, at the very bottom, you'll see the 70, 35, and 8, because when you look at domain 1 calculations, they don't give you a score for reading, they don't give you a score for math. They take everything together, total test, they calculate the formula. So 70, 35, and 8 is where we are as of right now, not taking into account all the amazing things we're gonna do. So now I'm gonna show you the other report, because the report I showed you here is not inflated. Like, there is no, it's not factoring any projection. These reports come from NWEA MAP. And what MAP does when they do a projected proficiency, they are saying, if I scored a 120 at the beginning of the year and I make the adequate growth, just normal natural growth, this is where I'll land. So it'll say, you know what, for Angeles, a 130 is where she's projected to be at the end of the year. Then it did the correlation. So it was important for the principals to have it without the growth, to say, what if nothing changes? But this, within the 95% confidence interval, this is where it says we are slated to land based on our BOI, assuming the growth is met. And so you'll see it broken down by grade level. Second grade does not take STAR, but it gives you a projected proficiency. It helps us plan ahead. And those numbers are pretty much in line with what I had just showed you. That's math. This is our course-specific Algebra 1 map. So 8th graders that are enrolled in Algebra 1, and any student that's enrolled in Algebra 1 or an Algebra 1 lab class, meaning they weren't successful on their Algebra 1 EOC and are enrolled in the intervention class, we have them taking this map test to give us data on how we can effectively prepare them before they do their retakes. So this is specific to Algebra 1.
Would you mind repeating what you just said, or further clarifying? So one of the reports, that is the projected proficiency if the intense intervention weren't to take place, if we just kept.
Just status quo. Things were to change naturally. So what it does, it just assumes that the student is going to make natural growth. It doesn't factor in like, I'm going to get them to a year's growth, a year and a half, or 2 years growth. This is just natural. But even then, that leaves things up to move, and so that's why I just took it out, so that they had like the data as if it was just right now.
No, and I think that that's incredibly beneficial for what it is that you're trying to do, that we're trying to do as a district, that they have the information that if nothing happens, or just,
This is where we'll be.
we're just status quo, right? This is what that's going to look like within a year.
Yep.
And so then the possibilities are there that if you do get a hold of it, if you are intervening, that growth can be
Astronomical. And then what was great is even looking at the data with teachers, when you look at it by student, some of the kids were just a couple points away. Do you have a couple points between now and May that like a couple skills that we can just target? And so it's really, I think that the reception of it from the staff standpoint has been, wow, I wish we had this. I don't have to go searching for what they need. It's right there. Now I can do instead of making and then doing and guessing and then doing. So, yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, sometimes the numbers will like punch you in the gut and you're like, oh gosh, but then it's like, wow, we have time.
We do, and what you said is so important that all of the rest of us understand from non-educator perspectives, that everything that this is giving, the data that this is giving to our teachers is something that any teacher could sit in the classroom and spin their wheels for. They're not gonna get this after a whole year, right? No matter how many small groups, no matter how much testing is taking place, no matter how well you know that child, to get this data that they're getting in the very beginning of the year and have time to do something about it, that it's not just based off of a STAR test. This is actual achievement,
Yep.
and where we want our students to be.
Yeah, no, it's powerful stuff, but you have to use it. So, reading, we fare better. One of the things that we had a conversation at the high school for English 1 and 2 is they're slated to do phenomenal. Like, they were slated at a 90 and an 80 for English 1 and English 2. So my conversation with them is like, you have to keep it. Like, you already know it's there. Like, how do you keep it? And so they've got some really good plans, especially for our retakers, that to get them engaged and see, like, this is where you could be. And so the conversations have been well received, and I know we see more red than we want to see, but that's right now. I can assure you that red will not be as big. And that's what we're focusing on, is every student can make growth. And this is the tool that will show you that. And so especially in January, every teacher is going to get a growth score for each of their kids. And so you celebrate you grew so much. How can we grow some more?
And personally,
Their own personal goal.
growth.
Yep, when we ran the ASG report, it'll literally say, this one needs 10, this one can get 12, this one can get 13, this one can get 9. Every single one of them have one, because it's based on their data. And I don't think I mentioned this, the test it's individualized, it's adaptive. So what Mr. Dagley, if he were to take it, and myself, and Mr. Burt, we would all see different questions, because as I get things right, it increases in difficulty until I hit my ceiling, and then it works its way down, and it finds that sweet spot. So you will have some students in elementary seeing geometry questions or algebra questions that they would have never been exposed to, but as a teacher, knowing that that child is well beyond grade level, when I have the opportunity to differentiate, and if I want to make sure that that student grows, it's going to tell me where I meet them instructionally. It's going to give you the standards that they need and what they should be able to do. And so it's been really interesting. There's still a lot of work, but now they understand the data. Now's the hard part. It's the now what. And I know I look at Paige because we say that every time, but that's the part now. It's like, we have the data, we set the goals, now let's get to work. So this is the reading data. I wanted to make sure that and this is the science, again, we don't have biology, but I'll have that at January. And we tend to fare very well in biology, but we want to work on getting our meets and masters up. I wanted to make sure I shared these slides, because this is what should keep us up at night. At the end of the day, we can have students passing their EOC, we can have students passing their STAR. We cannot have our kids not be college ready. And I'm going to switch to the next one for reading. This is where the red needs to be adjusted. And that comes through strengthening our tier 1. It comes from us keeping our standard of what being on grade level is, because at the end of the day, we want our students to have the opportunity to choose what they want to do. But if you're not college ready, it limits your choices. And so when I present the CCMR updates that are coming down the path, we're going to start looking at college readiness with our 8th graders. Because if we don't capture them and get them on track in 8th grade going into high school, it's an uphill battle. And we're no longer going to get to use some of the alternatives we've had to help them earn their point. And ultimately, that's what's led to this. And so we want 100% of our kids to be on track. And so this is the big picture of what this tool can help us drive, is that, yes, you passed your EOC, and that's amazing, and I'm glad. But are you college ready? Are you on track to, if you decide to go to college, you're ready to do it? And so, sobering data, but definitely encouraging in the sense of we've made the decision at the right time to take this turn. And that's why those standards being at grade level have to be held that way. So I did want to make sure that we share out kind of what we're doing. So our next piece is to really look kind of at the survey data for the students and the staff that will be presenting. Parent-teacher conferences are very important, and making sure that the parents have this data, making sure that they have the opportunity, if they have questions or if they want help, they know how to get it. using this data and the tools that are given to teachers to use that to impact our instructional planning. Personalized counseling, I met this morning with Ms. Oncal and have scheduled some meetings where we will begin, especially, we're starting with the elementary, meeting with those fifth graders that are moving into middle school one-on-one before they even begin looking at course selections with their parents, and then doing the same with eighth grade before they begin looking at programs of study for high school. Student goal setting, that's been ongoing. We'll be progress monitoring using DLA data to kind of check in on where we're at with our curriculum, and then for middle of year map, being able to come back and look at that. Crosswalking what we're seeing in our data with the curriculum, making sure that if we took a DLA and students were successful or not on this particular standard, how have we taught it and how is it in our curriculum? And then just making sure our resources are aligned. What we're putting in front of our kids is preparing them and making them better and preparing them to be successful. I wanted to call out some of our programs just because this is low-hanging fruit. Progress learning, I will be training the high school teachers on Friday. This is something at home that parents can access and can literally go from their map report and see where their kid is at and support them at home. Because I'm not a math person. I can't help my high schooler with his math, but I sure can log in progress learning based on his report and know where his weakness is and make him do it and monitor that he got a good score on it. And now he's gonna do it again until he gets it right. And we have the benefit that MAP talks to progress learning. All the data from their assessment, it talks right in there, and for the elementary and middle school kids, it puts them on a pathway based on their data. You don't have to do anything. Have them log in. ST Math is the same. That's a program that we have for elementary students. MAP talks to that as well. They call it the Penguin Math or GG, but it's conceptual and it gets them thinking and it's puzzles. Amplify Reading is an app that we have for our elementary students that directly aligns with M-Class, the assessment that we use to inventory their reading skills. We just purchased Just Right Reader, have trained the teachers, and they have started using, and they're so excited. Maybe I'll highlight that next month. But some amazing decodables that align with our curriculum and what we're teaching. And then we've purchased Heggerty, and there's a lot of resources online on Heggerty on how you at home can support students with their gaps. And the report tells you what they need. So it takes the guessing game out of that. I'm going to stop talking and see if you guys have any questions, but that is the Balanced Scorecard Priority 1. I know it's a lot, but this is I consider the really important part of, this is why we're here. We want to come up here and share that all of our kids are on grade level, and so we're working towards it. Questions? All right. Is it me again?
Red Ribbon Week.
Oh, I'm not going to mispronounce it this time. Red Ribbon Week.
Not Red Ribbon Week? Okay. I'm going to actually talk about something fun. So I don't know if you noticed, but one of us is outdressed the rest of us in the room. And that leads me right into this week is Red Ribbon Week. And we have a lot of activities going on this week. We have themed dress-up days at every campus, age appropriate, I would say, at each campus. They're all a little different. As well as talking about some things, not just dressing up, but the kids knowing why they're dressing up and how it relates to the theme and all the things. And so it's a good, fun week. I think high school dressed like Adam Sandler today, which is a fun one to go see. And so you'll see things being posted on social media and stuff like that to celebrate the participation in Red Ribbon Week. So it's a fun week. And we're still participating all day long. So that's it.
Thank you.
Bilingual program.
All right, we'll have Ms. Silva come up and do our annual program evaluation for our bilingual program.
Good evening, members of the board, and Interim Superintendent, Doctora Perez. My name is Ana Silva, and today I will be presenting to you a program evaluation for our ESL and bilingual program. And this information is for last year, okay? For 24-25. So these are our two program models. We have the bilingual late exit and the ESL program. In the bilingual program, we have it available from pre-K to 5. The instruction is done in Spanish and English. And the teacher certification criteria is that the teacher has to be bilingual. For ESL, we have two different models. The content-based, meaning that all of the teachers are ESL certified. Pull-out, meaning that only the reading teacher is ESL certified. And that program is available from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. And the instruction is done in English. So here you will see 3 years worth of data. 22-23 school year, 9% of our student population were EBs. And whenever I say EBs, it means emergent bilingual students, English learners. The next year, 10%. And then last year, we end up with 10.8%. And 401 students. Currently, we have 444 students as of today, 12% of our student population. And this is a breakdown for each school and program. And also don't forget that we also have parent denials. Those are the students whose parents denied any of those services, bilingual or ESL. So every November 1st, we have to submit waivers and exceptions. This is where we tell our state how many uncertified teachers we have in the bilingual program or ESL program. So here you will see 3 years worth of data. Last year, we submitted 5 bilingual exceptions and 16 ESL waivers. Because we receive bilingual allotment funds and Title III funds, we have to spend some money. And also, we have to provide professional development to our teachers. So here are some of the professional developments that we offered. We offer ESL test prep and also bilingual. I'm sorry, I forgot to add bilingual test prep in there. We attended the Title III conference, which is, you will see the picture with the blue sign. And we also attended different Region 4 professional developments. And there we, in the middle, top right, we went to the Region 4 ESL and bilingual conference. Then we also offer professional development during our PLC learning, either student talk or anything that is a need at the campus level. I also hold bilingual meetings with our bilingual staff and, of course, with our principals. Every year, per Chapter 89, we must offer summer school to our pre-K and kindergarten students who are in the ESL or bilingual program. So this is a 3 years worth of data again to show you how many students show up for summer school. It's 4 weeks of summer school. So Ms. Gonzalez this past school year did a phenomenal work, teaching our pre-K and kindergarten students anywhere from English skills to accelerate the English, language development, as well as reading and science. We purchased a brand-new curriculum, and that is based on literature, and they loved it, okay? And we did different activities every week to kind of keep them engaged, and I just put something there for you to see. Star data, okay? Something that I don't like to show, but unfortunately I have to show it. You will see that we went up in English, in RELA, and science. Whenever we receive our scores, and saw the science, I was like, wow, yes, we went up. Because it's a very hard concept for English learners. But then you will see that we went down for math and social studies. Reclassify students' data. This is the data for our students who exited the program, okay? So whenever I was putting it together, it was an interesting thing to see that also for the students who already exited the program, they went down for math and social studies. So there's something, happening at the state level on how it was given, okay? But this is at the purchase level, so you will see that they score high. They score high, okay? And comparing to the gen ed students. TELPAS. In addition to the STAR test, our EB students in grades K to 12, they must take this test. And it's broken down in 4 domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And they score a composite score of beginning, intermediate, advanced, or advanced high. So whenever you're looking at it, just to give you, at the beginning level, we stay the same, 11%. For intermediate, we went down, 49 to 40. Then for advanced, we went up. What that means? Our intermediate students made progress. That's what we want to see. We want them to move from one level to the next. And then advanced high, we went up 1%, 9% to 9%, 1%, I'm sorry. And here's something to celebrate. So when I first came in, the previous year, we only exited 1 student. Then the next year, the following year, we exited 18. This past school year, 26 students. And it's not easy because they have to obtain a composite of score of advanced high in TELPAS. And also pass the reading test. Okay, so it's not easy. Because we receive Title III funds, the state always give you something to do because they're not free. So we have to have parent involvement. We have to have at least 1 parent, 1 community, or 1 family event. So last year we had 2 parent events, 2 family events, and 1 community. And then you will see that the picture with the long table, that was our bilingual night, a bilingual bingo night at FRE. We talked to our parents about the importance of TELPAS and how they could help their children at home with a Summer K-12, a program that we purchased to help them increase their linguistic needs and also for TELPAS. Then at the top right-hand corner, where you see Dr. Reese and Ms. McDonald, we had a ceremony where we recognized our top students with the most usage in Summer K-12, and also the students who made progress in summer K-12 from one proficiency level to the next. And then the bottom two are famous International Night, which was a success. That's it. Any questions or concerns or that you might have?
Thank you very much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solak. All right, last information item for me, and I will take a break. So it's just an information item. We know that we have a lot of new legislation that went into play late summer, early school year, and so we need to update the Huffman ISD district handbook, and so we've made some updates. Those should be published later this week. Just want to highlight the changes. You know that the personal communication device plan policy has gone into play, so we needed to make sure our handbook reflects the rules and expectations regarding that. We do also have some changes as it relates to Senate Bill 12, and we took the opportunity to update our campus visitor procedures, just to make sure we enhance both safety and accountability. And so this was a collaboration, or actually our assistant principals took a big chunk of this work and have helped make sure that our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted, and so we will be publishing that later this week. Any questions?
No, he's so eager to get up here. Come on.
All right, Dr. Skinner, tag, you're it.
If you look, my colleagues decided to steal the agenda tonight. So I took a real small section. I had a real lengthy piece, but for time's sake, I took mine out. All right, so monthly board report. Just briefly, it's already been mentioned, but our groundbreaking ceremony is Wednesday. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get it dry. Tuesday night, there's a chance of rain, so we'll see what that looks like. But I'd like to invite everybody out 10 o'clock back behind the Ag building. So we have scheduled our fall realtor small business owner breakfast. We are going to have that on November 12th. In your paperwork, you see 9 a.m. We changed that today to 9:30 to give us, that's late arrival that day, so give our principal some time to get there and just made that adjustment. So it'll be at 9:30. Just a couple quick highlights from our operations report. Want to give Mr. Turner, although he stepped out, he and Simon, our maintenance lead, some kudos. We needed to repaint our fire lanes, especially at the secondary campus. Fire marshal's been after us to get that taken care of, and we got some bids, and we were almost 50,000 for one and 25,000. That's district-wide, not just those campuses. And so Mr. Turner and Simon sat down and figured out a plan for the October break, how they could restaff and structure their guys to get those guys out there. And so we'll be able to take care of that at a much better cost of just materials, and our guys were willing to take that on. So excited about that. Appreciate their efforts on trying to explore those ideas to save us money on that end. On our child nutrition report, we are under verification has started. So any parent who filled out the form for free or reduced lunch, now we come back and the government comes back to verify that what they submitted was correct for a small portion of those families. Those families have already been made aware. So if you hear that, that's not something we have control over. They were randomly selected just to verify their information. Lunches are going well. We're starting to see a little bit of buildup for students owing money. However, our cafeteria managers, our principals, everyone's been done a really great job of keeping communication going, working with families, making sure that we're meeting the needs of our students, and then working with those families who actually have greater needs than just that. So appreciate their efforts. Transportation, we were actually excited to let you know our Huffman Fire Department and Transportation Department have joined together. They're going to do a bus evacuation training with our bus drivers on January 5th on that PD day. And so excited about that partnership, and the fire department willing to help us out. The training is going to focus on student and driver safety, but it's also very good experience for our fire department to work with our drivers. And unfortunately, and especially with construction and all that, we know that bus accidents can sometimes be devastating, and having that relationship where we're practicing together, training together is always a good thing. So we appreciate that. Wanted to bring your attention, Ms. Bailey, Transportation, Ms. Bailey, wanted to bring to your attention. So Senate Bill 546 is something that was passed in our past legislative session. I suspect that this will probably be addressed in our policy update that we get from TASB that's supposed to be here by the end of October. I haven't seen it yet. However, as a board, we will have to look at our buses that do not have seat belts. So prior to this bill, I believe it was 2018 and past, didn't have to, 2018 and newer had to have seat belts. And now the new legislative mandate under House Bill, or Senate Bill 546 is that all buses will have it. So there's a few things. Our legislators did us a good job on this. They actually are asking, the board will have to vote at some point this school year to determine whether we are going to eventually get seatbelts on all of our buses. We have to have that done by 2029. So they give us time. Or we can say as a board that that's too costly and we're not even going to be willing to explore that. Our buses are what they are. And so we'll be bringing you more information, but what the state did do a good job of is that once the board votes, all the districts who say yes, that we want to eventually outfit our buses with seatbelts, we will submit how much that we think that's going to cost based off of the bids that we're getting to get that done. The state then will take that to, the commissioner will take that to legislators so that they can look at funding options for districts. The concern that they have is they don't know how many buses are out there that need seat belts. And so rather than shooting in the dark, trying to come up with a pot of money that may be enough or way too much, they decided let's research this, which is why we go to 29. So this was a good move on our legislators to collect that data and move forward with that, but with the understanding that they will be working on some funding options. Previously, there were some grants and things like that, which is what we suspect. I did ask Ms. Bailey to make a few phone calls just to kind of give us an idea, like what is it going to cost to do this? So a lot of our buses, the way the seat belts are, like we have to completely replace the whole seat. It's not just going to add seat belts in. And so the numbers she got from Thomas Bus, this was Thomas, right? So Thomas was $2,600 a seat that we have to change out. So that's a total on average, depending on the big buses, we're talking like $68,000 a bus. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. Right, and so with that, our concern is, now that's why we're going to rely on the state funding, so we're going to see what that looks like. I think it's because there's a lot of engineering that has to go into this to make sure our seat belts are well anchored, and there's a lot that has to, it's not just taking a seat out and changing it, right? And so our concern is that some of our buses who need these seat belts probably aren't worth $68,000. And so we don't know what the state's going to do about that. And so we will continue to monitor this. Again, this has to be voted on this school year is our understanding. So we have some time. We'll see what the TASB update comes out with, but we want to go and put it on your radar in case at conferences or talking to other board members that you hear about that. Yeah, so even at 10 buses, I mean, that's almost $750,000 in seat belts and seats. So we'll certainly be watching that. And Ms. Bailey, just wanted to kind of put that on your radar so you're aware of that. I think that's all for operations, unless anybody has any questions.
How long does it take to get a new bus?
So that's a tricky question. It can take it depends, right? So sometimes, and we had talked about this maybe last meeting or a meeting or so ago, sometimes a lot of the larger districts will order like, say, 15 buses. And then when they all come in, they're like, oh, sorry, we really only wanted 12. Ms. Bailey's phone rings and they're like, hey, we've got 3 buses we're trying to get off the lot. Well, those we could get in a month's time. Now we do add that some districts don't. We make sure we have 3 air conditioners as opposed to 2, which is kind of more common. It's just hot, and so we try to make sure we do that. So there's a few specs that we have to, which is why it takes a little bit longer, because sometimes we have to go add that 3rd air conditioner or getting all of our radios and our communication set up, video cameras, those things. However, if we're ordering a brand new, to meet our specs, it can take, I think it was 6 to 9 months was our last time to do that. So it kind of just depends on the nature of it, and so we've kind of let our guys know that we're going to be looking for buses. So if you come across something, Ms. Bailey wants to be prepared for that. But hopefully that kind of answers your question. Somewhere in the middle, 1 month to 9 months. Okay. All right. The next agenda item, information item. Just wanted to let you know the Falcon Ridge Pond to Purpose project is moving. We had on October 15th during our break, while everybody was relaxing, Zach was up here meeting with contractors. We had our pre-proposal meeting and site walk. We had 3 contractors show up to that, and so that was exciting. We walked it, had some good conversation. We have questions were all due last week. We've responded to those, and our proposals are actually due tomorrow. So tomorrow, I believe it's at 4 o'clock. So Zach will be here. He'll sit through that matrix grading with us when we go to that. And then our goal would be is to bring a contractor to you guys at the November board meeting, so we can get started. So any questions on that? It's encouraging that we have several contractors in the bid. And we had Zach go ahead and give his little spiel to the contractors. For someone like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, so create a little competition on our bidding. But this is CSP, so we, at the end of the day, we'll get our sealed proposals and then we'll go through the matrix and evaluate those. All right, bond update. Moving quick. Have a little slideshow for you. We were going to get some updated pictures today because we thought we were going to be drilling piers today at the high school, but due to all the water that we had, we did not start that. Hopefully, we're going to start that tomorrow. So the October break was really good for us. I want to thank the principal, especially high school, middle school. We spent a lot of time out there. We cut the power off a couple times. We turned the water off several times. We're really able to get that done. Centerpoint did show up on that Monday. We got the poles out of our building pad. Today, they actually delivered the poles along Holcomb. So we suspect that they will start moving pretty soon to install those, although sometimes those poles do sit there for a while. And so our middle school was able, we still had some punch list items from the renovations that we did. They were able to get in the classrooms, added some cabinets and some things like that that still needed to get done. And so a few pictures from the middle school. This is some of our new cabinets. The bottom right picture is what it looked like before that whenever Dr. LaFuente left for the break. I got cabinets in now. This is the art classroom. This is a lot of our storm work over on the right side of the screen. On the left side, we added, this was during October break, which was nice to not have any competition of parking. Out behind the gym, it's very dark back there, and so we added some pedestals, concrete pedestals. We've got the power there now. We'll be ready to, once the concrete cures, we'll then have the added light back there in the back parking lot, which will be really nice. So that was done. We were able to get the concrete poured and everything done, the concrete cut and poured during that break. So continually working on slab, our dirt. We through our testing and meeting with our contractor and geotech, our contractor CMOS did end up pulling that dirt out and has redone that dirt. All of our tests are meeting spec now, coming in with appropriate PI levels, and so we appreciate their efforts to get that right and mend that dirt for us. High school, CTE, and gym. So worked a lot on pads. So both pads are done for the gym and the CTE building. Again, we were going to start drilling piers today on the CTE, but due to all the water, we've spent all day trying to dry things out, especially with our groundbreaking on Wednesday, trying to get everything ready. A lot of storm drain work right now. Some of the storm drain, we are having to compete with fiber lines, gas lines, telephone lines, all kinds of things in the ground, some of which we had no knowledge of, and that's okay. That's part of construction. But however, this added storm drain would be to account for the added concrete of the CTE building and such. So we did run into a little bit of an issue with some of this being blocked, and so we had water standing in some areas. So yesterday we spent some time getting water out of some areas that we didn't need water, but thankfully all of our buildings were okay. It's just parking lots and things. So we were concerned with as much water as we got that, remember our pads are all built, the middle school's 3 foot above the current floor, and so when that water came in, we were worried about the backdrop. As far as I know, and Dr. LaFuente hasn't said anything different, we found no water inside the building, and so that was exciting because we were a little bit stressed about that, especially for as much as we got over the time. This is the pad of the gym. The left picture's, it's a bunch lower. On the right, you can see where we're up on that. So for the gym, there is a section that you would see maybe in a second on the flyover that our locker room expansion will stay at the current existing level. So we're flood waterproofing that. So basically, if it got wet, it's concrete. It's sealed concrete. It's all right. But then our trainer's office, lobby, gym, all that stuff is going to be that elevated floor. So that'll have those ramps because of all the for flood mitigation purposes. And then we're going to, how do I make this work, Ms. Davis? Got a little quick drone footage that is really cool to just kind of see all of the project, especially really focusing. This is kind of our laydown yard. This will eventually be another detention pond where all those culverts are fine. And that's our ag building on the right, CTE building pad there. To the left of that pad, we'll have a parking lot For that, to the right will be our service yard for our classes. This was not long after the poles were removed, so that building has now been squared off and fixed. We do use this route to get from the gym back and forth between the baseball and softball field. So you can see our contractors here. This will be our new gym. And you can kind of get a general idea there of that generalized pad site. Kind of see it happening. So with all that said, this is most of it. I think he stopped there not too long after that. Had a great time over the October break, got a lot of work done. So I'm glad we were able to get that done, and that was a good timely break for us. I think, so we were going to bring testing, balancing, and commissioning to you guys at this board meeting. We did some interviews over the October break also, and after the interviews, felt like we were rushing something that's pretty important, and we needed to slow it down just a little bit and need a little bit more time. We have some additional interviews set up for tomorrow, I believe, tomorrow morning, and felt like if waiting a couple more weeks to the November board meeting would be more appropriate to make sure that we're comfortable with our decision and our recommendation to you guys. So that's why it's not on the agenda tonight. And then the last few things, HES MEP, Dr. Perez is executing that contract with BRW for us. We have I have a celebration on the Ops Center. It's moving through FEMA. We're actually seeing movement now. And so we still think we're probably a couple months out before we get actual approval, but the fact that it's actually progressing now and not just sitting there in some queue, we're excited about that. So BRW, again, with our executed contract, we'll be having our kickoff meeting for that actually pretty soon. So we'll be pulling in our department leaders to get moving forward with that. And then our construction oversight committee, our next meeting is tomorrow night. We're actually going to meet at the D1 Division I trailer, the high school contractor. We'll have the superintendent there available, one of the vice presidents. I'm not sure. They usually travel in a team. I've told them, like, you don't have to bring everybody. So we'll see who all shows up tomorrow night. But there'll be several of them there, and we just asked them to be available. We'll kind of let them talk about some project stuff, and then we want to make sure that we're being as open as possible, and our community members can ask questions to the guys who are doing the work, who are physically there every day. We were gonna walk the sites, depending on how dry it gets between now and then. We may show this drone footage and then talk about whether we go as fully into those sites or not. We'll kind of see what the feel is, but it's pretty muddy out there right now. So, any questions about that? All right, I think that's it. Thank you, guys.
All you tax revenue.
Back to me. All right, so beginning with the September 2025 tax collection report for the month ending September 30th, we collected $96,000 for a total year-to-date of $414,000. This leaves a certified remaining tax levy of $1.5 million. We've also collected $90.7 thousand in penalties and interest for this year. Like last month, you are going to notice that there is nothing on the tax roll yet. That will occur once the tax rate is adopted. Once the homestead exemption goes to the voters, they will be able to calculate all of that out and send tax notices, and we will begin seeing it in the month of November. Moving on to the general fund, year-to-date report of revenue and expenditures. We are 25% through the year, through the fiscal year, and we have now collected 25% of our state revenue for a total of 19% of all revenue budgeted collected. We are at 24% of all expenditures. The average for the last 4 years is at 32%. But last year it was at 28%, and part of that is as we right size, or once we started right sizing that budget to match what our expenditures are, they are much closer to the percent of the year that's completed. Salaries and benefits are at 22% expended, which is also what we like to see at this point during the year. Are there any questions? Okay. Moving on to our food service report. We are 12% through the school year as of September 30th, based on number of days in the year, and have now at this point collected 20% of our revenues that we have budgeted and expended 19% of that budget. So those are also in line with each other. And the percent expended for salaries and benefits at this point in time is right at 23% as well. Moving on to our bond projects, our capital projects fund. I present it to you from a financial standpoint. Bond proceeds is $91,835,000, and as of September 30th, we had expended $10,582,828, and that is a total of 11.5% of our capital projects based on total bond proceeds. Moving on to some of our quarterly reports. The next one is our investment portfolio. Excuse me, I thought I was going to sneeze. There's $87 million invested. Mostly that is in Lone Star Investment Pool, and a little later we'll show you that has the highest rate of return right now. Of that $87 million, $84.7 million is directly related to capital projects, or the bond proceeds, I guess you could say. And on the next page, you'll see a graph, and it shows that almost 100% of our investments are in Lone Star Investment Pool, which is also known as the Corporate Overnight Fund. Moving on to the schedule of cash balances, this is different because this not only takes into account our investments, it also takes into account our operating checking account. We have $93,934,000 in cash and investments currently. Next, if you look at the schedule of interest revenue received, we budgeted for $287,000 in interest, but year-to-date we've received $699,000. The reason is we don't have a budget in there for the 2023 Bond Capital Projects Fund. So when we remove that $663,000 out, we have earned $36,000, which is right at about 12.5% of our budget. And then lastly, as a comparison of market rates, as of September 30th, and Lone Star Investment Pool has the highest at 4.31% compared to the other items that we look at investing our funds in. Any questions? Okay. Quarterly special revenue and debt service fund report. This report actually let me start with this. I have divided this up into two sections. One is our special revenues, and then the next page is our debt service fund. Those are different types of funds, and I never felt comfortable presenting them to you together. They really should be separate, but they are still in our same section of the report. So this first page is all of our special revenues. These are a lot of our grant-funded items. So although we talk about food service each month, it is also included in this report. So that all of that budgeted or grant awards total for 25-26 is $5.6 million. And again, including food service, we have revenue of $993,000, and to date, we have spent $1.5 million. And then on the next page is our debt service fund. This is the third budget that the board adopts each year. The adopted budget here in revenues is $8.1 million, and we have received 2% of that to this point. Our amended budget, again, is $8.2 million, and we've expended 25% of that to date. We make payments for the most part twice per year out of the debt service fund, and those are in August and February. August are principal payments, and in February are interest and principal payments. And then one more quarterly report. We have our electricity usage report. So far this year, our electricity actuals spent to date is lower than the prior year, and we have spent approximately $16,000 less in electricity compared to the same time last year. And then when we look at our consumption of kilowatt per hour, we have also used almost $19,000 less kilowatt per hour compared to the same time last year. She doesn't need mine.
I don't need your phone. I got my own stuff. Okay, so this is just gonna be an information item this month, and then we'll come to you next month for, to take action. So our community has a longstanding tradition of rallying behind staff, students, and community members that are battling cancer through district-wide fundraising events, such as Peak Out, campus drives, silent auction baskets, done through athletics and all kinds of different things. And so in order to streamline these efforts, we as an administration are proposing the creation of a Falcons Fight Together Fund, a dedicated account to support Huffman ISD students and community members and staff members affected by cancer. This fund would be managed by a committee with a structured application process and review process, ensuring equitable and transparent distribution of funds raised through district and campus initiatives. So like I said, this is just an information item this month. The next month, we'll bring to you a proposal to take action on to formally adopt a Falcons Fight Together fund to take care of this. Any questions on that? Oh, here's your clicker.
So that's taking, oh, where'd you go?
The clicker fell.
So that's
I was
taking like the money raised in Pink Out and those events and now putting it in a dedicated fund and having a committee oversee
Yeah,
that.
in the past, it's been something that, you know, community members have kind of volunteered to do and put together, and then we've acted kind of as a pass-through, and Coach Bukta here has had it a lot on his shoulders to try to find community members or whatever to try to give these funds to. We've actually had several conversations about doing more events through the year instead of not just like one dedicated week, doing things at different events and different campus activities rather than just that one thing. And so I think this will streamline it and get it really off of the shoulders of just one or two people in the community.
Is this something that can, if need be, extend beyond raising money for cancer, let's say, into other areas? Does it cover that?
I mean, I don't think it's with the Falcons Fight
I know that's
Together
what we usually
Fund,
do now,
like, I
but-
don't think it's just, you
But
know.
that's what we've done in the past, but if
Yeah.
there's something else comes up.
I don't see
it's-
why not.
Okay. That's the only question I have.
So I would imagine then there is the opportunity to modify a resolution that the board would adopt that would include beyond just benefiting those affected by cancer.
Yes, there is an opportunity for that, and we're currently working with our attorneys to make sure that we develop that resolution correctly. And for the benefit of the district, for the benefit, well, it's not the benefit of the district, it's for the benefit of the district being able to do it for those families. So yes, ma'am, we are currently working on that.
Any other questions?
I wanted to add it, this is also an opportunity for us to be able to keep it in our community.
Yes.
Instead of having, because of the parameters that are set forth, the way we had been operating, it would have forced us to raise funds for a large organization that wouldn't have benefited someone from Huffman. And so this is a great opportunity for us to
Keep our funds local.
in the community.
And I'm not sure who to attribute the original forming of this. It might have been Coach Mack and carried on by Coach Bukta over the years, that every campus comes up with their initiative, that they're going to raise funds for local community members. It could be our staff members, it's our students. And being able to carry this out in a meaningful way and have a fund available at all times, and whatever that, the committee ends up deciding what that application process looks like. But I just think what a huge thing that we get to do for our community by implementing something like this. And thank you for the work that you've been doing. And Coach Matt.
Shannon Jones was a big factor in that for us.
So,
Thank you.
Is there anything you would add?
No, a lot of people were pretty sad this year not to be able to do that because Coach Mack did such a great job, and the help I've had along the way, we've continued it, and it's grown, and it's kind of an expectation, and we always have people in need, regardless of what type of health issue they're facing, so, it was disappointing, and it's not a burden, as Mandy said, but it has grown so much that it does take more, and we have an opportunity to do an even better job. So, thank you.
So what a neat way to turn something that was a disappointment into a huge positive for our district. For the
And
community.
it helps ensure that it lives on.
Sustainable.
So we'll move on to business and discussion items now. Have any motions?
I do not have a motion at this time. I think that it's important for us to have a discussion first.
We have, oh, I got you. All right. Okay. Can you give us some information on our proposed tax rate, and so we can have discussion and make a motion?
Yes, sir. So just as a quick recap, the interest and sinking tax rate is recommended to decrease to a rate of 0.3668. Again, that's a reduction of 3 cents off of last year's INS tax rate. One thing that I did not mention earlier that's really important and that came out of our June workshop that we had is our financial advisors, Government Capital, helped us structure the debt in a way that would allow us to lower that INS rate for this year so that we could look at the opportunities provided to us to adopt disaster pennies for the 25-26 year. So it was really, we worked really close with them. They were here during that board meeting, and through the partnership with them, that is one of the things that we were allowed to do this year is bring that INS rate down by 3 pennies. Moving on to the M&O rate, the maximum calculated, the maximum compression rate for Huffman ISD for the 25-26 school year is 6169. The board is authorized to adopt an additional 5 pennies, and that is standard every year, bringing that to 0.6669. If any additional pennies over that 0.6669 are adopted, it would require a supermajority of the board, meaning that 5 of the 7 would have to approve that. And although up to 12 disaster pennies can be adopted by the board, it was only published in the paper to adopt up to 4 additional disaster pennies. So that is the limit for the board to adopt tonight. So the highest rate that may be adopted by the Board of Trustees is 1.0737, which is the current or this previous tax rate for this year.
All right, any questions, discussion? I'm sure we have plenty. So I know we've been going over this, well, forever, but we had the workshop in, was it June?
It was like June 4th, June 5th.
When we had, obviously not all the information. It's very frustrating. What?
We thought we did.
We thought we did. I understand. So it is frustrating spending time and making decisions and then having to backtrack and do your work all over again. But I appreciate those of you that have sat in
in finance subcommittee meetings and worked through this and asked questions. I think I'm just gonna speak personally as a board member. First of all, I think it's important we take advantage of golden pennies, because I would love to invest my money and get the return that we get on golden pennies. But I think it's important that we think about our community, and I would say either, I know we've been bouncing around between 3 and 4, but, and I know we've talked about hitting that in the middle also, so maybe 3.5 cents or something. So, it has effect on your budget, and so if you have anything that you think is going to affect our budget negatively or affect programs or students or teachers, that's what I really want to know about is can we operate within our budget? Can we do the things? Can we provide the stuff to our students that we provide now and our staff that we provide now, and still lower this rate by half a penny, or if that's what we're willing to do?
So the budget that was adopted for this year was based on the board adopting 3 disaster pennies. So as long as at least 3 disaster pennies, which are the golden pennies, are adopted, there would not be a negative impact to the budget.
Even after the changes since June?
That is correct.
Okay, I want to make sure that's.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I have a real problem with making a decision with not incorrect, at the time it was good information, but changed information, and then trying to talk myself into doing something with that when I knew it wasn't the right information. So
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure that it's not going to affect our students and our staff if we do that.
No, sir. Yes, sir. The 4 pennies keeps the tax rate at 1.0737, and that was the adopted tax rate for last year.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. So, in June, and we've had many meetings after that and prior to that, I think we were all relieved and grateful that we felt like we were in a unique position, and here, unique situation, that we were going to be able to adopt potentially all disaster pennies without increasing taxes on our taxpayers, which it sounded too good to be true. And it was. It was too good to be true. Huge disappointment is an understatement, given the financial state that we're in and have been in, that it felt like, okay, we can finally start seeing our way out of this. So then what do we have to do? We have to pivot, right? We need to, all right, let's go back at it. Let's see, what can we do here? So I understand that, which obviously there was some thought that went into what went into the paper. We didn't put all 12 pennies out there, although we most certainly could have, and we most certainly had the right to do that. Does it mean it's the right thing? No. But we absolutely could have. Even just those copper pennies alone are what, about $2 million in revenue that we would have seen. Copper pennies.
For all of them, it's about $2 million, yes, ma'am.
And so we opted to put in the paper that was the maximum, was gonna be the tax rate for right now. And or the same tax rate that we currently have. However, there's a big however. A little insight into some conversations that have taken place in our Budget Finance Committee meeting that we haven't been able to talk about because we're not all quorum. I remembered that we specifically communicated to the public when we put out that first notice. We communicated to the public on our Facebook page that, and Ms. Fortenberry, do you mind pulling that up? would you be okay with pulling that up? What we communicated was that we want, somewhere along the lines of that, we wanted to assure the public that it would be lower than the current rate.
Right.
Our current rate of 1.0737. It is incredibly important to me, and I'm sure several others, that, I mean, that is, we have to strongly consider that. And it hurts to leave any money on the table because we know we need it. And we're in this situation where we saw where we rank in relation to districts around us, and we've had the discussion about this has been bragging rights for Huffman. We have the lowest tax rate, but I also want to highlight the fact that here I was talking about having the lowest tax rate. What does that get us? What does it get us? So fortunately, our community, fortunately, truly thankful that they saw the need, that we passed this bond and did that, and that was huge because we're seeing the progress and we're seeing what's taking place, and we know our students are gonna benefit from this. We know it. In terms of everything else, we brag about the tax rate, but again, what does that get us? So being the lowest, what does that get us? If you want better things, it costs money. We want to, all of the things that we've done this year, we want to increase salaries, right, across the board. Everyone gets a raise. We did it. You want, we want better curriculum. Did it. There's not money for any of it, right? We didn't see any sort of additional increase in income for us, or for the district, and we continue to do it and continue to go off of what Harris County Appraisal District does, and man, that really stinks. Taxes are getting raised, and we don't want to do that to the community. But again, where does that get us? So I think it's really important for us and for the community to think about what it is that you want. Do you want to live in, you're known for having the lowest tax rate, one of the lowest, right? But what does it get you? So if we are being good financial stewards of our money, which is incredibly important, and we've even had the discussion about where do we go from here? How do we ensure that in every area of programming that we're looking at it and we're maximizing what we already have and eliminate any of the inefficiencies? That doesn't mean cutting, but we are maximizing what we already have. And I know that that's in the works, and that's something that is gonna be a huge priority for the board moving forward. But what I keep saying the but is, we need the community to decide what it is that they want to. What is it that you want? Do you wanna keep the low tax rate, and then you're not seeing, because we can't pull money out of nowhere, right? We can't continue to add without having the additional funding. And it seems so simple. It seems so easy if you're not sitting on the board, if you're not our CFO, if you're not working in our finance office and seeing what that actually takes. You can't just do that. It doesn't come from nowhere. So, sorry, long-winded. I do want it to be a discussion. What I want to say is this. It is incredibly important to me to honor what we said, what we communicated. What was it that we communicated?
We said that we have to post the maximum proposed tax rate in the paper. However, we want to reassure our community that the actual tax rate anticipated adopting will lower than the maximum proposed rate and lower than the current rate. And it had the current rate, and then it had the maximum proposed rate at 1.069. That was back in June.
So last thing for at least a minute anyways. At 3 pennies instead of the 4, what are we leaving, how much are we leaving on the table? What is that worth?
3 pennies instead of 4 is approximately $215,000.
What is your take from a business perspective?
Well, from a business perspective, you have to raise revenue or cut costs. And when we look at this as a business, we have to generate more money or cut things out. And I think, in an effort to, I agree with you, we have to do what we told the community we're gonna do, just like we do in business. For those of us that are self-employed, we tell the customer we're gonna do something, we do it at all costs. And I think it's most important now where we are as a board, where we are as a district, the relationship we have with the community. We're being transparent. I think it's obvious. But as a community, and I'm speaking to the community now, we have to decide, what do we want this district to look like? And I'm just reiterating what you said. If we want more programs, better programs, more qualified teachers, enough staff, eventually we keep talking about, I know, Ray, you've been hearing it for 20 years, I've been hearing it for 7 years, the growth is coming. And we all know the growth is coming. You can drive around Huffman, it is coming. But we're just not seeing it in our numbers yet. I mean, we're seeing increases, but until our community gets built out and we have 5,000, 10,000 more homeowners helping support the district. But then even at that, as we grow, so do our needs. So I think continuing to create a relationship with our community and being transparent, getting feedback from our community, and partnering with our community has to happen. But I would be against going above, just like you said, what we told the community we're gonna do. I'm not opposed if we could do 3.5 pennies and still do what we said we're gonna do. What is that worth?
About half of that. It's worth about 110,000. So I calculated it, the total tax rate at 1.069, and it's a difference of right at about 115,000.
And it would still be a decrease to our community from what we were paying last year.
Last year, the tax rate was 1.0737, and this would be at 1.069.
So we could accomplish.
What is not being taken into account for that is that the average value of a home went up to some degree. The homestead exemption should pass. I would be shocked if it did not pass, but it should pass. Assuming it passes, there would be a savings to the average household.
But looking at our Huffman ISD tax rate.
Yes, sir.
We would be decreasing the tax rate, but not necessarily decreasing taxes, which isn't.
We don't control values of property. Right?
No, we can't control that. I've said my piece about the Harris County Appraisal District plenty of times. So, yeah.
Layla's right, and, we've spent a lot of time in that office in there talking about where we can go, what we gotta do, what we can do. It's, it's disheartening, the state mandates us having security and there's things that we have to do that the state doesn't fully run. And we have to come up with it, and that's another thing that, the community has to realize that, just to stay up with what the state mandates, is sometimes burdensome.
It definitely is, and I wouldn't give up, I think one of the greatest things we've done in this district, and I wasn't here when it started, was this, with our police department and our safety initiatives that we've come up with, and the last few years, we've talked about cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts, but there's some things you just can't cut. You can't cut, it's not worth it to cut, and they cost money. And so, I agree with Dean. I think it's important we lower the tax rate. Layla, I agree with you. I think that 3.5 gets us to what we promised the community. It gets us close to what we talked about in June, the meeting with not all the right information. That's kind of where I'm sitting, but no matter what, I know we're gonna have to continue to look at costs across the board and our practices across the board and being as efficient as we can be. And I know we ask you guys every time to do it, and we continuously look at it, and it's a tough job, but it's something, I know I've sat in your office in the last month and talked to you about some of this stuff and going, just tell me how to help, tell me how to help. So I appreciate what you're doing also. So any other questions down here, comments?
I think it's important on what we told the community.
Yeah.
But not to sit in an echo chamber, but it's
Yeah.
important for the community to find out what they want, or what they want this town and this community to look like, and this district to look like.
And I think the more we communicate with our community, whether it's this board as we sit now, or it's what it looks like next year, or the year after that, or the year after that, giving some of those decisions to the community and asking them, do you want to pass a golden penny? Do you want to pass 2 golden pennies that we can make?
Maybe 3,
I mean, it's,
maybe 5.
I mean, it's a great investment when you look at what it yields. When you can put your tax dollars into something and it yields 3 times that back from the state, it's, like I said, I wish I could put my own money into that kind of investment, so.
What you said is important. It's giving that opportunity to the community.
Right.
To decide what it is
Absolutely,
that they want.
absolutely, and I think that is important in the future, and we need to look at that 100%. So.
And we only have, I mean, this only occurs when you have a disaster. So we don't have another disaster that we're, fortunately. But, this was very important.
It does, it comes with costs.
It comes with costs, and I think that we've made a big effort to get it right.
I agree. So, what am the feeling I'm getting? Am I getting the feeling that we're good at the 1.0690?
So
Go ahead.
I think the correct way to do it is to make the motion, and if it doesn't carry, then someone is able to amend that motion and we can go back. I am ready to make a motion, but anyone can make a motion, obviously. So again, it's important that everyone understands that you can amend the motion that
Right.
I make.
Absolutely.
And we're talking about 3.5.
I'll read it for you. Yeah, I'll read it for you. So I make a motion that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of per $100 valuation of 0.6969 for maintenance and operations and 0.3668 cents for interest and sinking for a total rate of 1.0637. This is effectively an increase of 8.53%. And that would be 3. That is only 3 of the pennies. That's the 3 golden pennies.
Right.
And so what we're leaving, sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. I got a motion from Ms. Krasik. I need to get a second. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Burt. All right, so we're talking about a tax rate of 1.0637, which is a 1 penny decrease from last year's tax rate as far as the tax rate's concerned, and that is 3 golden pennies, which are the highest yield pennies that we can adopt due to the disaster declaration. So that's what we're talking about.
And leaving $215,000 on the table.
Right.
Can we not go to 3.5 and still come in below our current tax rate? I'm asking a mathematical question.
Yes,
not
we
opinion.
can. We can.
That would put us at 1.069, and the current is 1.0737.
And if we did the 3.5, we're asking we're still giving us as taxpayers and our community a decrease in the amount, not the rate.
The rate.
In the tax rate.
In the rate.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think we're close to, even with what they added on, close to being where it's at. So, that's why I would side with the 3 cents. And I don't think it's enough we're leaving on the table that it's gonna make that big difference.
Yeah. And my question's to you again. Are we good with our budget at that? I mean,
The 3 cents is what we adopted the budget
right,
at.
okay. So that revenue, even with the changes since June, that we're still good?
It's changed immaterially since
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
I think it's important to note that even our budget, we adopted a deficit budget.
We did.
We
I
did.
get it.
We adopted a
So
$2.5
I'm very aware of
million
that.
deficit
I'm-
budget.
I am very aware of that, so, okay. And I know that,
I would say, and this is important, I don't know if I've said this yet, there is still guidance coming out from TEA about all of the different funding things that that is coming in. So it may still change a little bit, you know, one way or another. So I don't want to, and of course it changes as we get through the year with ADA and with our demographics. So, but the 3 pennies based on how we ended last year is how we budgeted for this year.
any other questions?
I just hate to leave money on the table. I hate it more than anything.
I under-
Are you wanting to amend the motion?
Well, I mean,
this is, I understand. Those copper pennies don't yield near as much. And so, I think, I kind of see both sides of the coin a little bit. I think it's important for us to do, we have a CFO that's telling us that we can operate, that's where we budgeted, we can operate there. We have a community that would love the 1 cent decrease in taxes. I kind of feel the same way you do, because when I see dollars that are coming into education, I look at them as super important all the time because of what I've seen happen the last 3 years, especially with asking programs to cut costs. But I think we're at a point where we can meet our budget and we can lower our tax rate by a penny, and I think that that's the smart thing to do. And we can.
honor what we told them, told the public we were gonna do. We need to honor that.
I know.
It hurts.
It's gonna hurt. We adopted a deficit budget, and we don't like to do that. It's gonna hurt, and we know that, and we know we've been dealing with it, so. Anybody that has any other questions on the motion as it sits right now? Because we need to work it out if we do. Or if not, I'm gonna ask for a vote if we don't have any other questions. All right, so all in favor of adopting the tax rate as presented in the motion? All are in favor. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, let's go to the next motion.
Getting there. I make a motion that the board approve budget amendment number 2 as presented.
I have a motion from Ms. Grassi. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second from Ms. Sullivan.
All right. I believe this is my last item of the night. No amendments are being requested for food service fund or debt service fund, but for the general fund, we are requesting an increase in instructional expenditures by $24,050 due to additional seat needed at ABS East. So that is an additional $24,050. We are asking for an increase to revenues and expenditures in the same amount. for selling some old technology equipment. So that is a net effective zero to our fund balance. We were able to sell some old equipment, and with those funds, our technology department can continue to help put technology back in our classrooms. And then we have 2 functional transfers that also have a net effect of zero, and those are just transfers across different functions. One are for path teacher expenses to move those from instruction over to staff development. The other one is for our special services department to move those funds to curriculum and staff development and instructional leadership.
Any questions? All in favor? All are in favor. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the 2025-2026 District Improvement Plan and the 2025-2026 Campus Improvement Plans for, let me get to the campuses, for the campuses as presented, and authorize the superintendent or designee to make non-substantive edits and implement the plans, including required postings and submissions.
I have a motion from Ms. Grassick. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second from Ms. Sullivan.
All right, as I sigh a relief for the first tax rate adoption. Okay, so last month we presented our DIP and our CIPs. You have those printed in your folder. It is the exhaustive plans that the campuses have developed and the district has developed. They're a cascade from the balanced scorecard. They also include requirements like federal accountability and state accountability requirements, and they reflect our overarching goals of the district and campuses. The non-substantive edits are, it is a living document. So as needs arise and we need to reprioritize or use any funds that would directly align with fulfilling any of those strategies, we go in and we edit that plan. And so that's why the guidance has been to include that statement. And you haven't seen that in the past. And so that's why I wanted to call that out. But that is those are the plans, the CIPs and the DIP, and they're all a cascade off of the balanced scorecard.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? All are in favor. Thank you. Next.
I make a motion that the board approve the policy changes for EIC local as presented.
I have a motion from Ms. Grassick. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second from Ms. Sullivan.
So back in April of '24, we updated policy EIC for grade GPA changes. And so at the time, we voted on the recommendation. TASB really prefers you vote on the actual written policy. And so Dr. Nolte's notes from when he presented that are actually attached. Kaylee and I wanted to make sure we have the minutes in there to show that it was voted on, to show you what exactly he voted on, presented that night. But then we also gave you a copy of actual policy, which reflects those changes. Our high school has been working under those changes since April of '24, I guess that August. The students are under that impression that they're working on that. However, the policy needs to be updated. So with a vote on the actual policy as written, that allows us to then have TASB update our policy online to make sure that we're compliant with our practice and what we've been telling our students. So,
And now we have 2 grade levels working under that?
Yep.
9th and 10th, okay.
Right, yeah, so it started last year for that, right?
Right,
So-
okay.
So it's just to update the policy.
I was involved in that conversation, so I don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions on that policy? No. All in favor?
Thank you.
All are in favor.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution authorizing the use of bond proceeds to provide a monthly stipend of $1,000 to the Chief Operations Officer, retroactive to July 1st, 2025, for the additional duties and responsibilities of Bond Program Manager.
I have a motion for Ms. Grassick. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second from Ms. Sullivan.
All right, as you all know, we had entered a contract with DRS, and since Mr. Brad Bouillon is no longer with the company, we renegotiated that contract. He had a skill set that we felt was worth that percentage that we had reflected in the contract. And given the expectations we had for the skill set of the replacement, we renegotiated the contract. As such, Dr. Skinner has taken on a lot of additional responsibilities. You probably heard him. It's the bond project manager job does not observe an October break.
Yeah.
Doesn't believe you can enjoy a weekend, especially your birthday weekend. It was his birthday weekend, and he was calling and texting me all hours of the weekend, and Ms. McDonald, pumping water out of the drains, is constantly working with D1 and the contractors. And so I know it was a priority of the subcommittee that we see that we do this. It is temporary. We will revisit this every kind of end of school year, just to kind of see where we're at with the projects. Right now, we're in the heavy phase, and he's taken on a lot of additional duties that comes at his personal time and beyond his contractual hours. And so we would like to remedy that, and we are saving a lot of money on that renegotiated contract, and feel that this is a good number that we landed at to just reflect the extra duties, other duties as assigned that goes well into 24 hours a day.
Yeah. And just as a subcommittee, when we listened to Brad, we understood what he was bringing to the table and what he was doing in his role. We didn't feel like DRS could provide another person at that level. We asked Brad on a what did he think, and really Dr. Skinner had to agree to take on. He knew that he was going to go to a 367 contract. I mean, it really is. It's an everyday, and we're saving a lot of money, and he's doing a great job. He hasn't even been getting this money, and he's doing the work. So I think that I think it was a win-win for us. I love Brad. I wish he was still around, but we're going to save money, and we're going to still we're getting somebody that cares, lives in the community, and is doing just as good of a job, if you ask me, at this time. So, and we did bring on another person, just so y'all know, from DRS. He's just more of a boots on the ground construction person that's here when we need him. We can call him in. So we do have that. Any questions?
What he's doing is not easy. In addition to his chief operations role, it is not an easy venture to program manage something like this. And he's outstanding in my opinion and worked everything out.
I don't know that I would do it for $1,000. Yeah.
We're just grateful he is.
Any other questions about that? No? All in favor? All are in favor. All right. Do you have any other motions?
Not at this
No.
time.
All right, then this board will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code Section 551071, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 082, 083, and 084. It is now 10:34 p.m. and we are returning to open session from closed. Do I have any motions?
I make a motion that the board ratifies the resignation of Melissa Steele.
I have a motion for Ms. Karasik. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second for Ms. Sullivan. All in favor? All are in favor. Do I have any other motions?
No, sir.
No other motions? Then at 10:35, we will now adjourn this meeting of the Huffman ISD Independent School District Board. I said ISD.